Hello, this is Horror Studio 1, and this is my unedited podcast. Hello, this is Horror Studio 1, once again coming to you with his unedited podcast. See, I haven't done this podcast in such a very, very long time that I'm feeling that I should explain the context of his podcast for those who are new to my YouTube channel. Basically, the Unedited Podcast is a podcast where me, as the creator of Horror Studio 1, drops all the shenanigans of being a YouTube horror narrator and just talks about anything that he finds interesting or he finds creepy or just rants about his own life. And for those of you who are newer to my channel and you see all the live streams that I do every week, you'll feel like, what's so cool about the podcast? Why not just talk about them in the live streams? Why not do live streams? Why not just record your face talking to the camera about various topics instead of doing this podcast where you're ranting on and on about nothing, which I'm doing right now? The reason I'm telling you that the podcasts were really important to me and my channel is because way back in the day, before I even showed my face to the internet, and only did Horror Studio 1 like most other horror channels on YouTube, which is basically just me in front of a microphone narrating stories that other people wrote. There was really no way for me to talk to anyone who supported me. Yes, there was the comment section and all that kind of stuff. I actually responded to more comments back then, but there was that. But for me to directly talk and share my views upon things via the internet and to you guys, for those subscribers and viewers who watch me, was extremely rare for me back in the day. And the idea of having a podcast where I could do that was just so incredible. Even right now, as I'm doing this, I'll be honest, it feels good. Like right now, it's pretty late in the evening. I'm not really doing anything. I just finished getting some McDonald's, and it feels good to be just in a little space, sharing your thoughts that are going to be shared to the world, but right now it's just speaking them directly into a microphone like that, and it's pretty cool, dude. It's pretty cool, and there's no pressure really. When I'm doing live streams, there's the camera's on my face. There's viewers that come in, tell stories. You gotta host. You gotta look at the comments. You gotta do all that. And of course, for my own videos where I do 3 true scary stories, you gotta have music. You gotta tell the story. You gotta act out the emotions of the character. There's a lot of stuff going on there, but with the podcast, it's like, whatever, dude. I can make noises, I can do whatever, and I enjoy them so much. And I haven't done one in so long, and it feels so good to actually be back doing one. And I'm not talking about things that are depressing, things that are actually happy, which is pretty good. It feels like a generic good podcast for me today. So without further ado, one thing I gotta tell you guys is the podcast, the day that this is being uploaded, it's got to be a Sunday. So tonight there will be a live stream, guys. Pretty much, I'm hoping around 6 to 7, 7 to 8. Definitely not before. Definitely not after 9. Hopefully, I'll start the live stream. You guys, if you guys have your own scary stories, be prepared tonight. Email me now if you want to save a spot, and I'll send you the link closer to tonight for my live stream, and you can come on and tell your stories. So without further ado, the topic of the day is something that I have been thinking about for a very long time, and it is something that has bothered me ever since I was a kid. And I'll tell you guys a bit of a story of why it has been bothering me ever since I was a kid. Basically, Horror Studio 1, the great narrator of YouTube videos, of true scary stories, shit that's happened to people on Reddit, let's not meet, the paranormal voice of YouTube, one of the paranormal voices of YouTube, is very afraid of washrooms. And, right now, of course, I don't have an irrational fear of washrooms, but I can tell you guys a story of when I was a kid, and if you guys don't know, I'm Asian. So when I was a kid, this detail is pretty important later. So when I was a kid, I used to live with my parents. I still do, but we used to live in an apartment. And I have 2 siblings, and they both had their own rooms because they were a lot older than I was. I was at that time around the ages of, let's say, 6 to 8. or 5 to 8 kind of thing. So I lived in the same room as my parents. I would basically sleep on the floor while my parents would sleep on their bed. A lot of the times during the nighttime, we would always watch scary movies together. And I feel that this action of watching horror movies, ghost movies, really sparked my curiosity and my interest in the paranormal ever since I was a very young child, and thus I think is a defining reason why I have this channel today. So I thank Mom and I thank Dad for that. But a lot of the movies that we watched, us being Asian, and I'm actually from Hong Kong, a lot of the ghost stories and ghost movies that we actually watched were of Hong Kong origin. So a very common thing for Asian, horror movies, if you guys have watched, is especially in that like 90s generation, ghost movie thing, it was a lot of times in the washroom. Okay? There was like, I would always remember this scene from a movie, and it's like so corny. I can't find the movie today. It's not like a Hollywood movie, so you guys probably like don't know it. Basically, the scene is the girl goes to like a hotel or some shit, and then she hears a noise in the bathroom, and she goes in and she kind of wants to look, right? And then the camera is like filming inside the bathroom, and there was like a fucking ghost in there, okay? A ghost, okay? A ghost, that's, in Asian cinema back in the day, they represented those entities with like a green light. So the ghost was like standing there, and it's if you think about it now, it's so corny, it's so cheesy. But she opens the door, and then the ghost like goes behind the door, and then the girl looks in, looks left, looks right. Okay, nothing there. She walks back out. There's noises again. She does the same thing. The camera goes to the bathroom. The ghost goes behind the door again, like hides, like physically fucking hides. And the girl looks left, looks right, nothing. Okay, goes back out. So think about it now. It's like so corny, it's like low budget, cheesy Asian horror movie. But back in the day, it made me terrified of the washroom. And every one of those movies had some crazy shit. It was either like the bathroom or a mirror, or, God forbid, a bathroom mirror. Like, it's like the shit, okay, back in the day. Or you're in the shower, and then you hear someone singing. It's creepy ass shit, dude. And it made me really afraid of the bathroom for a very long time. I actually had uploaded a 6, I think it's called 6. I think it's 6, I don't know, 5 or 6 bathroom ghost stories way back. It was like a couple months ago in 2015. You guys can go check it out if you guys want. And you know how I do that little grab a blanket, turn off your light introduction in the beginning of my a lot of my videos? I like legitly said in that video, like, I am so afraid of bathrooms. Grab a blanket, turn off your lights, let's start the video. Like, in most of my videos, I'm talking about like kind of the topic that we have at hand. Like, I just did one for New York, and then I kind of explained New York. It's a really crowded city. It's populated. There could be ghosts in the population. Grab a blanket, turn off your lights. Let's get this done. Let's do it. Like, that's how I do it, right? But for the one, like the bathroom ghost stories, I was just like, holy shit, I'm fucking terrified. Grab a blanket, turn off your lights, let's go. And I just go right into the video. Like, that's how terrified I am of the bathroom. And when I was a kid and I had to go to like the mall to do tutoring or something like that, I remember there's one tutor place that I went to, and it was always at nighttime that I went there for tutoring. And the bathroom, you had to go through like this really long ass hallway, and at nighttime in the mall, in those like small malls where they do tutoring, there would be like nobody, all the shops would be closed. There was only one thing open, which was like the tutoring thing. And I remember every time I had to use the bathroom, like I would either hold it until I got home, or I would use it and then I would run the hell out of the bathroom, And I think even when I was a kid and I went with like a friend or someone else, I would still run. And my friend would be like, what are you doing? And I would just run. I'd be like, oh, let's play tag or something. I would make up an excuse or some shit. Like, that's how terrified I was of the bathroom, of public bathrooms, mostly, I think. And even when I got older and, the same mall, the same tutoring place, I would be like about 15, and I would still like fast walk when I went out of that bathroom, It was just, I guess, the feeling of that bathroom that, it still reminds me of the horrors I felt when I watched those horror movies all those years ago, maybe. But even when I was a kid, dude, when I went to the bathroom and I was alone, even if it was at school, I went in elementary school in Canada. There, they had these really big windows. Of course, they would kind of block them so people couldn't, see inside. But there would be like a bright, the lights from the outside, from the sun and stuff, and it would be a really illuminated room. But I would still feel really scared, and I would run out the bathroom, and it would be crazy. Like I would run out and I would run down the hall, even though there were like other people, and I would run into like back to the classroom like terrified and like panting and shit, like panting. Like that's how afraid I was of the bathroom. And first time today, I actually found out that there's actually like toilet phobia stuff. It's crazy, dude. There's like different kinds of anxieties related to being afraid of the bathroom. Of course, they're not instigated by, watching horror movies, Asian horror movies, but it's interesting that there are things like that in this world, There's different types like sociophobia. It's like commonly involves worrying that people are aware that you are using the toilet, people noticing you using the toilet, or that people may hear you using the toilet. Obviously, there's also OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. You're afraid of the toilet being contaminated or being using things that are deemed unclean. There's agoraphobia. It's like worrying about leaving the house unless there is a safe toilet that can be used, combined with fears around soiling or urinating oneself if leaving a deemed safe location. Maybe I had that. There's a bunch of other ones, panic attacks, panic disorders. There's one of fear of defecating in public places and fear of urinating in public places. And these have really specific like names for these things. It's insane. And they're all related to, using the bathroom. Personally, I don't think I have like a mental illness when I'm using the bathroom. I really feel like it was the films that I watched as a kid that has made me have that fear, And if you think about it, it kind of does make sense. I mean, it was because of when I was a kid and I watched those films that I even started being not attracted, but like interested in the subject of the paranormal, scary shit, ghost, all that kind of stuff. I became interested in that from those movies I watched as a child. And it's influenced me to be, in my 20s now and making a YouTube video and having a full-time job that talks about this kind of thing. So it's really prevalent, I think, that childhood part of my life, that has affected me. And if that can be the case for this, it can also be the same case for being afraid of bathrooms when I was a kid. And I guess you got to look at that in two ways, right? On the positive, without those movies, without those experiences I had, I would never have this channel. And of course, on the negative, I had that irrational fear of ghosts in bathrooms or some crazy shit in bathrooms for a number of years in my childhood. And even, do I fear it now? Now, not really. I mean, after puberty, after about I was like 16, I really have a lot more other things I worry about in life than, a green ghost in the bathroom hiding behind a door. Like, I don't think about that shit much anymore. But, for a long time, it was a very fearful thing in my life. And I still remember it. And if I need to think of something that kind of scares me, I maybe draw to that in my memory. And if I do any kind of acting, that could also help me out. So, sorry if this is your first time watching my podcast. If it might feel kind of like, what the hell is he doing? He's not giving us anything informative. Like I said, my channel is completely for entertainment purposes only. Even sometimes when I pronounce words wrong, I apologize for that now. But just one thing to know, it's for entertainment. I'll try my best in the future not to do that. But I'm not a channel that gives specific information to a lot of things, and it's all for entertainment purposes, even this video. So if it's your first time watching me and you feel like, what the hell is HS1 doing? This is what I do on my podcast. So yeah, thank you guys so much again, though, for actually listening to me for my podcast. I know my podcasts don't get as much views, same with the live streams, but I still love doing them. It's great. It's great to be me sometimes, in everything. So thank you guys so much for listening again. I need to go and I guess sleep because it's pretty late, and I am gonna use the bathroom now. Shit, dude. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. My voice is kind of dead today, but I love you guys, and hopefully I'll do another one maybe next week, dude. These podcasts are so much fun to do. Thank you guys so much. Love you. HS1